Hey guys, welcome back for another exciting week of Yoml. This is the year of magical learning. Today we're on book a reflection, should I say, 211. This is actually part three of five, the third installment of the book *Sapiens: A Brief History of Humankind* by Yuval Noah Harari.
Yeah, so this is continuing on with our, top five favorites, which I think I actually ended up doing a five-part reflection for like six books. So I guess I kind of broke my own rules. But that's okay. The This one is about taking us back to Sapiens. And Sapiens is about humanity. It's a brief history of humankind. So kind of starting from ancient hunter-gatherers to where we are today, and then everything in between, and kind of how we evolved into who we are today as a species. It's a great book. Obviously, I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of curious actually where Sapiens would land on the list today if I had read it like now versus like when I read it, because it was such a unique, interesting perspective when I read it. It was one of those books where like the knowledge that I learned from it was
Mm-hmm.
and was intense. It was like, oh my gosh, like so many like aha moments now. But now there's so many times where I've learned a lot of these same principles throughout different books that I wonder how mind-blowing Sapiens would have been for me today. But either way, when it was read is and this whole journey is it's important in context, right? Because when it was read, it definitely and still is one of my top five favorite books. I mean, it's a great book. I'd recommend it to anybody. The This third reflection of five with Sapiens is titled "When Culture Forbids, Biology Enables." So we've talked about this a few times, many times in this journey about how I personally think that culture is one of humanity's super weapons. It might be the ultimate super weapon that we can conjure up, just because it's invented out of thin air and it unites us and connects us all in ways that where we are truly better together than we are individually. And it doesn't make a lot of sense from a selfish gene perspective if you're looking at it for strictly what's best for you. But what's best for you as each individual human is to figure out ways to connect together and to work together. And culture is one of those weird abstract things that we find a way to share ideas and to unite around those ideas and to I guess do incredible things together as humanity. And it's a pretty impressive, it's a pretty amazing thing, honestly. So however, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, right? Because we've talked about this other angle of culture a lot, where when you walk into a culture, there's a lot of values and norms and expectations that have already been established by the people that built the culture and build it around a particular idea. And a lot of the expectation is that you check your values and norms and expectations at the door in order to be serving to the mission and the purpose of the said culture that you walk into. Or that's you have other choices. You can't. You decided you don't want to do it, but then you won't fit in really with the culture and you won't really be progressing it forward. So it's kind of it's like oil and water at that point in time. Like you just won't mix, right? But that's a big sacrifice, right? If you want to, culture is so important to us and it's so unique to humanity, in my opinion, that it's a big sacrifice to ask a lot of people to check who they are at the door. And it reminds me of like the whole 90% chimp and 10% bee conversation, right? We are 90% chimpanzee. We are individuals. We are creative. We want to express ourselves. We want to bring our values to the table, and then that 10% B of ours wants to connect to a broader purpose. Well, a lot of times cultures ask us to flip that around, where it's like 90% B and 10% chimp, and it's that can get frustrating. So for me, Sapiens was a big eye opener, where a lot of times culture puts clamps on you as an individual, but biology never does. And you can do whatever you want to do in this world, as long as biology enables it. And there's really no reason why you can't. So if you're not loving the cultures that you belong to, and you're not, and it doesn't feed your soul, and you don't feel like you're a beaver that must dam, then and get out there and get that 90% chimp working, in my opinion, and let biology do what it can do until you find what you really love, right? And then the funny thing about culture is once you start doing the stuff that you really love, other people start to, take notice, and then they start to say, oh, I like to do that too. And then all of a sudden end up having a bunch of other people around you doing stuff that you like to do. And then you create your own culture, a shared culture with other people that connects everybody. And now it's this great, unique thing that you guys built yourself. And that's how the cycle of culture works, right? Like it just keeps going on and on and on. So if you don't like the cultures you belong to, because it'll definitely put clamps on you, then it's like, it reminds me of that bias book we read a few months ago. It's like, if you don't like it, go build your own table. Don't fight for a seat at the other person's table. Just go build your own damn table, and see what happens. Now the funny thing is the triple-edged sword, I guess, if that's the word that can be even used, is eventually in your own culture you'll start to bring in some 90% chimps that don't agree to your culture, and then at that point in time, like, it is what it is. Like, encourage them to go start their own, like don't put the clamps down on them, like foster that and bring it out in them, and let them go, continue the cycle, and help them to go start their own stuff, and then and make it kind of all one big, roll up, like we're trying to do kind of with Clubany, right? Is, it's a bunch of cultures within cultures. We're not trying to tell anybody they can't do what they want to do, or to not be themselves, or to not express their own values. We're trying to tell people to do that, and then we'll give them an umbrella, culture that can help support them through that. But in the meantime, form their own little unique cultures in the middle of it. So it's kind of like our grand vision of culture in a weird way. But this book really helped inspire me and think about, like the idea of when the cultures you belong to tell you can't do something, screw them. Like it doesn't mean that biology won't let you do it. Like, go do it. Try to be the person you want to be, and other people will come follow you. Anyway, love to get your thoughts there.
Well, I think I have a divergent view on this.
Interesting. All right, yeah, bring it on.
So I think that like you say biology enables, right? I think biology is actually forbids.
No, I don't think so. Biology
Yeah,
biology has hard lines. Like, there's certain things you can and cannot do with
right.
biology, right?
But
Like,
so biology,
right,
yeah, I agree. Biology is like I say, a beaver must dam, right? A beaver cannot be a lion, and a duck cannot go to eagle school, right? Just you can't train a duck to be an eagle,
right. Yeah, no,
right?
I agree with
So
that.
so because of its biology, it forbids it from becoming a lion if you're a beaver, or you're a rabbit, or you're a gazelle. You can't. It forbids you becoming a lion. So you're right. Biology has very hard rule. These are the these are the things you can do. This is who you are.
Right,
You are made by these. These are the properties of the genes,
right,
and the genes express in a certain way, and you want to be that and nothing else. If you don't, and I think like so for the first part is I think biology, not forbids or enables like universally. It enables in your particular pond of gene, and it forbids if you're outside of that pond. So
right.
to get that definition kind of like kind of clarify. The second thing is I say like culture doesn't forbid. I think culture. Well,
Yeah, yes, it does. It totally does. Like, I
so
mean,
so 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 okay. Maybe this is for me. I think culture is not man-made. True culture is not man-made.
I totally disagree with that.
That's why
Culture
I
is
say
100% man-made.
That's why I say I have a divergent view, because I don't think culture is man-made. Because
I'm
culture to me
Tell me more.
is
Yeah.
culture is like your expressions of who you are. You are the expression of your gene. You express yourself as a beaver if you have the genes of a beaver, and the activity you do um kind of like dictates the culture, dictates the arena of activity you do, i.e., the culture. To me, your biology dictates how you behave and what you like to do, and how you like to do it. And I think that because culture is dictated by biology. Culture in itself is not man-made, even though we tend to classify the only thing we can do is say, okay, you have that, let's classify you. We don't actually make you, because when somebody say, I'm going to build a culture, say, well, it's not that you're building a culture, you're just telling everybody, hey, you should follow my gene expression, my activity that I like to do. As I'm the CEO, as a founder of this club, I want you to be like me. I want, if I were to create a lion tribe, right? I want a lion to come into my tribe, and these are my culture. My culture is not created by me. It is an expression of me as a lion, right? Or if I'm a beaver, what I do is an expression of me as a beaver. Therefore, all the core values that I put out to say, hey, in order you become part of my community, part of my tribe, you have to be in this, have to embrace this core value, which you have to have like water, you have to have like, ability to make dams and engineer whatever. So you don't actually create them, you just identify them and say, when you come in, you need to have these. If not, then you don't belong. Because if I'm a group of beavers who building dams,
But
and a
hang
bunch
on,
of lion comes and wants to become a part of it, he can't do it. He can't do what a beaver does. Vice versa, a beaver can't go
but
to a lion's den
but
and say,
but
hey, I
but
want to
but
be.
but but hang on, like in humanity, a lion and a beaver can go work together. What we're saying is they shouldn't. Like you should go find other people that are similar to beavers that like to do what you do. But a lion and a beaver and an eagle and a seal can all work together in humanity because we're all different and we can all share and connect around a particular idea. Now we asked the lion to subvert it. Maybe that culture is built on ideals of a beaver, but we asked the lion to subvert his lionessness and the eagle to subvert their eagleness to go
No,
connect
I
together.
disagree with that, because I think if a beaver, whatever a beaver does is what he does, right? Whatever an eagle does is
Oh,
what
I
he
agree,
does.
but they're
And
not
so
humans.
there's no overlapping. So the thing is, for me, I see that humanity has so many minute like distinctions. So there are people who are producers. There are people who are the storyteller, and there's the people who are the connectors, right? So each of them are doing exactly what it is they're supposed to do, but because it's so diversity in terms of how many minute different like core thing they are, right? They're able to align with one another, because if you have a connector, that connector, let's say, I mean, in terms of the animal kingdom, the eagles and the beaver, there is a big gap, right? There's a big gap between who is in the middle that can bridge between the two. In a human,
There isn't.
there isn't too much. There is, but there isn't too much, because somebody
Right.
is
Yeah,
is
we can
is
use our
very
ideas
good.
and
Is very
communication.
good at being in the center of those two.
Well, we're good at expressing ideas and communicating those
Yes,
ideas
but
so others can
I
understand
can
them.
only express ideas to the person who is technical, but also at a creativity level, right? So
Right.
there is a next level that I can communicate with, that has common language with me, has common value with me, for me to connect. I can go and connect directly from like a beaver entity to an eagle entity to a lion entity. It's not going to work like that. It has to transcend to a gradual, because you have to pass on to the next one that is 90% like me but 10% different, and then over to the next step there's another person that is like 90% himself, right? And then 10%. So there is that overlap. Because of that overlap, I'm looking at the ability for that individual to have the bridging, or the I guess, like the overlapping of whatever community, whatever circles he's in. The other circle is in the other camp, right? And so humans have the capacity to become very specific in the minuscule lines of core values that they have, right? When we talk about the animal kingdom,
Yeah,
it's hard
animals
to
don't have
create.
values. They don't have abstract concepts that they understand. To my knowledge, I mean, I could
No,
be
no,
way
we're not.
wrong,
We're
but
not talking
like,
about. We're not talking about like the values value. We're talking about the expressions of the gene. We're talking about
So,
the biology.
but this is the big difference, though. Like the reason why humans are humans and beavers are beavers is because we have this a weird way to connect and to transcend our just our phenotypes of what individually of what we
No,
do.
I
Like,
don't think so. I don't think so because the thing is, we have a certain genes. We have to express it. There's no
I
way
know,
you
yeah,
can there's no way you can say, well, we can connect with somebody. I mean, the thing is, you tell me like 90% like of all the human out there, right? That there's a common genes among each individual, right? That means that we have the ability to speak.
yeah.
We have
I agree with that.
so
That's what I was
so
saying.
that
Yeah,
so in order for us to be in the same work together, right? We have that commonality. If you were to go and reach out to an alien, right? And they don't speak your language and can't understand, don't have the ability to receive sound, for example, or the ability to communicate in common manners, there's no way you can connect, right? And so even they have the intentions or the core value, it doesn't work in that way because the biology dictate what you can and cannot do.
right. I mean, this is. I agree. I'm saying biology is a hard line with humanity. I'm like okay, the best example you can give, like they give in like Sapiens, is like homosexuality or something like that. Like for in religious cultures, it's very much so forbid. Like you cannot do XYZ or something like that. But that is not true. Like there's still you can do something like that. It's just the culture says no. So like you get trapped into
I
these
mean, you can't really go and have homosexuals and have babies just because you say, "Hey, you can do
well,
it,"
I agree. I
because
didn't
it
say that,
forbids it.
but that wasn't what I guess that wasn't what I was meaning. I'm saying you can do that. Like it's not that you can't. It's just that
No, you can't. That's what I'm saying. Saying you can't. I
that
mean,
you
you
can
say,
express sexuality with a man or a woman or whatever. I guess people have sex with horses or whatever. I don't know. I mean, like
I
my
mean, the thing
point
is,
is
how
like
many people on Earth do you think is, you know, homosexuals or in the ratio? What is the
I
ratio?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of irrelevant because it's a spectrum anyway. And I don't want to get into like that debate or
Well,
something.
I'm just saying is that
My point
the
is,
point
yeah,
is, I say
yeah.
it's a small number. I would say a very
In
small
theory,
number,
sure, yeah.
right? Because the point is, there's always these outliers, right? The outliers mean because you going through genetic mutation. I don't disagree with anyone who are homosexuals or anything like that. I'm just saying they have the genes, whatever gene that's mutated to give them the something to feel something different. I can't deny that they don't feel it, but then they're not made to do that. They're not made to that. Therefore, it forbids it. So they can't, even though they have, the emotional this
Well,
and
no,
that with
culture
the
forbids
other
it. Like,
with well, culture is created by it's who you are because you as a person says that as a human being, I need to be connected with somebody who can reproduce, right? And so because that's
well, I
what
mean,
you are,
but there's answers around all these things. Like you could, invent ways to have an artificial womb and or like donate sperm to somebody or whatever to
no,
still have a child.
you
Like,
cannot have two like men having the having kids
but we can figure it
together.
out. Like that's what
No,
I'm
you
saying. I'm not saying that like that's that like that just those
but I'm
two.
saying culture
You're
forbids
taking
it.
a
Culture,
one plus one equals
no, no,
one.
no.
Like I'm saying, like
You have to
there's
look
other
at it.
problems to solve. There's
You
other
have to look
solutions.
at from the general population, the general perspective. You can't say take one piece and say, okay, I can maybe buck the trend because I can do this, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking
Well,
about the
it kind
ability.
of is what we're talking about. You can go invent your own. You can solve your own problems. Like you can do whatever you want to do as long as you can get creative enough and you can figure out a way to accomplish it. Like,
Nonetheless, I'm going back to what I say. Biology is what makes you who you are. It doesn't change
oh,
the fact
I
that
don't disagree. I mean, I'm saying there is
uh,
hard lines. There is eventually there
and
is hard
there
lines.
is a homosexual culture. Why is it a homosexual culture? Not because people create it. It's people just identify and classify them. They didn't create them. That's what I'm saying. Biology dictates what you do and what you cannot do. and biology dictates the culture, the activity that you do. You don't create it, even because the thing is for certain people, right? You as a person or as a species, right? You express who you are because the gene that was put together to make you. That gene going to express a certain affinity
What,
for something.
but
That
hang on,
affinity dictates the kind of thing you can do.
but you're missing the biggest part of culture, which is a multiplier effect of not just you. Like that's the whole point. It's like if it was just you, we would just be chimpanzees. Like if it was, but the reason why we're able to accomplish so many things is because we're able to not just be us. Like we're able to be a collective,
No, that's
and that
us.
collective is around shared
No, that's
ideas and
us. We are that person. We are the ability. We have the ability to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes and have their perspective. That's why we have the ability to communicate in such a manner that's why it's part of the selfish gene, right? Because
right. We're still 10% B, right? I mean, I mean,
we understand that if I were to go out and hunt the woolly mammoth or hunt the saber-toothed tiger, right? The ability for me to do that is very low. And for
right.
me to kill one lion or tigers or deer or whatever, right? It would take me months for one person to get it. And so months, one deer divided by months of meat, right? The amount of meat per day is so small. Versus if I were to hunt with a group of people and I do it every week, right? That means I get maybe 1/10 of it, right?
Yeah, I
One
agree. I
tenth
mean,
of it per week is more than a one whole deer for like 6 months. And so
right.
the still self-esteem say, hey, what is the total overall projected future? What is the thing that I get back? So the selfish gene in itself, the gene for us to collaborate with each other is also part of our DNA. We have that gene. That's why we evolved as this species. Not because we
Right.
have the ability to go, oh, for whatever reason, I need to communicate. Oh, I found this thing. We didn't find anything. Nature dictates that you become a random mutation. That random mutation gives you an advantage, and eventually your offspring, because you have the advantage of that mutation genes, able to survive longer, better,
Right.
and multiply more. Not
I
because
agree.
you decided that,
It
hey,
means
I want to build a culture in this manner. It doesn't work
no,
that way.
I think it is exactly that. I think what you're saying is true. Plus the added layer of how
Because
we've
the thing is,
utilized those
I know
tools.
the
Like we
reason why
create.
I say this is because not everybody wants the same thing. Because I know I don't want the same thing as anyone else. Because
I
most
know.
people
I
say,
agree.
hey, you should be a leader. You should be, in power. You should be in charge. You should be,
Who says that? What do you mean most people?
society,
Like
society tells you.
I don't think society says to everybody you can't have a leader. Everybody can't be a leader.
What do you mean? And
You can be
you
a
go to
leader of
school.
yourself, sure, but
No,
like you can't be a leader of other people.
nah. You just twisting words, okay? I'm telling you that
What?
in my kids' class, right? There is a such thing as a leadership class, and everyone has to take it. You have to be a leader. You have to be a princess. You have to be a prince charming. Everybody has to be a princess.
That's not
And to
possible.
me,
If everybody was a leader, then there's no
well,
followers. Like,
that's what we are. That's what we are told. We told our kids this. This is what school
but that's a
teaches
part of
us,
our culture, though. This is my point. Is like this is a part of our
right? So
culture.
back to what I'm saying is whenever I'm a beaver going to a lion den, I'm told to accept that lion's culture. But the thing is, I can only pretend so much. Eventually, I'm going to get exhaust myself, and I will have to leave that culture.
But this is
You go
exactly what
work.
I
You
said.
go work to a certain. You go work to for a certain company. There's so much you can take until you are going to sacrifice your health, your mental stress, and your insanity
Right.
for that culture, depending
Right.
on how much that culture is opposite of your culture. There are certain things overlap, and you can, yeah, I can stay in here for long. But if a culture negates most of your core values, you would not last long in that culture. That's
I
why a
agree.
lot of people, when you go work for a company, the culture, quote unquote, is coming from the founder. The founder say, hey, I am this kind of guy, right?
Or
Therefore,
girl.
when I hire people, then they're going to have to be like this. I'm an aggressive person. I'm a rise grinding person. They're gonna have to recruit other people that is rise grinding. They're not gonna say I'm gonna find a guy who does nothing and just gonna sleep and then find inspiration when they can find it. They say no, that's not a culture. You get out of here, right? So if I were to say, yeah, I need a job, so I'm going to pretend that I'm a go-getter, blah blah blah, right? I go in there, I probably last for like 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, and even I'm very good at suppressing and sacrificing myself. I probably last 10 years. But even then, after that, it's like I have mental stress, I have a bunch of stuff. So eventually, you're
Yeah.
gonna get bucked out of the community, of the culture. So culture isn't created by men. It's just an identification of who that group is.
I mean, I totally agree. I mean, that's kind of what I said. I mean, I feel like that's what I said about like culture. Culture. I don't know whether you want to call it it's created or not, because I mean, we are actually creating a culture with what we're doing. I mean, like that's
No, we're
what.
not creating culture.
Um.
We identify who we
Well,
truly
I don't.
are,
What do
and
you
we get
call
together
it?
and say, well, this is how we are. Anyone who comes to us, right? If they don't have any compatibility, right? They doesn't align with what they do, then they're not gonna last.
But that's what culture is. Like that's what I'm trying to
Exactly.
say.
And I'm saying it's a culture
And we
isn't
and we and
created.
we did it
Isn't
on purpose.
created. It isn't created. A culture is just being identified. It's not created.
So a culture only exists if other people agree to
No, a
participate in it.
culture always exists because when you get together, because you have some
Right.
commonality,
When more than one
because
person gets
there
together,
is
a culture
there is no
exists.
reason for me and you to get together if I don't like what you say.
I agree. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like if
Because
there's
it's not like you and I go and establish something and say, hey, we established this. You guys have to like this, and then we like
but
no,
this
I already like your perspective on life,
right.
right? And right, that's how we start a company. It's not because we created and
Look,
then we get come together. No, it
if
doesn't
some
work that way. You
if
and
somebody
I
walked
have
in,
similar thinking.
I agree. But if somebody walked into Clubany today and was like, "Hey, this needs to be more like Elon Musk," we would say, "Get the fuck out of here." Like, or we would make them feel miserable until we ran them the fuck out of here. Or we'd be like, "That's not what we want in this world. Like, that's not how we
You're
are
right.
are,
That's
are
all
trying
I'm
to move
saying is
forward."
what
So,
we are identifying. We're
but
not
my
creating.
point is like that doesn't mean that biology means that you can't be Elon Musk or can't do other stuff. The whole point is
You
culture
can't.
will
You
put
can't.
parameters around stuff.
No, you cannot be Elon
Biology
Musk. You can.
doesn't.
You can. You, if like I said before, and you agree with me this point before, if I'm a beaver and I try my damnest best to be a lion, I cannot even beat the worst of the lion.
There's
So if
100%
I'm not
not even a
Elon Musk,
disagreement,
there's
but
no way for me. There's no money number of hours
you
I
could
can
try.
spend
You
to
could
become
try.
like Elon. No,
You could try. Like I'm
it's
saying a
like
beaver couldn't even try to become a
I mean,
lion.
there are thousands of companies out there claim to be the Uber of X. How many
I
Ubers are out there?
True, I agree with you. I'm saying that's the unique part of humanity is you can try. But like I'm the whole point is we're saying
No,
don't try. Like you shouldn't try, but like you should go build your own is
I'm
what
just
we're
saying,
saying.
is that not unique to humans? It's unique to all the species. It's just that
No beaver is gonna see a bunch of lions running around and go, I'm gonna go try to join the lion pride. Like that's not possible. Like I mean that can't happen.
no. Look, you look at, like, for example, like when chicks are hatched, right? Let's say when chickens are hatched, and you have somebody, like say ducks, chicken, whatever, without the mom, right? Let's say you put a cat or a dog, right? Do you understand there's the ability for the ducklings or the little chicks to make an impressions on the first animal, whatever they see, and they think it's his mother, right?
No way. I mean,
You don't think that's true?
I suppose maybe there's a possibility that
Okay, let's
a
say there is a
duckling
possibility, and
could get.
so
But are
that
you saying the mother
duckling.
never comes back? Like I mean,
Let's
like
say the
when
mother
they
gets
go,
killed. Let's say the mother
oh,
gets killed and get
oh
a
sure,
bunch.
fine. It's if for just for survival's sake, sure, I could see that. But
I'm just saying. I'm
but
just saying.
if there's a choice between a
I'm
chicken and
making. I'm
that's
making
like
a point. I'm making a
right.
point. Okay, because if you have a bunch of eggs, right, the mother no more, right? But like say a dog trying to incubate and hatch the eggs, right? Yeah, they're going to impress. Hey, this dog is my mother, and they're gonna follow that dog, right?
Do
So
you think they
that
will?
is.
I don't know. I mean, do you think they will?
I mean, I don't have any personal experiment on that, but I have seen stories and whatnot that these are what, and I tend to believe that these.
I mean,
I mean,
maybe. I don't know the answer.
even the cuckoos, the cuckoo birds, right? They right. You know the story about the cuckoo birds.
No.
So the cuckoo bird, right? They go and they lay eggs into on a nest of another bird's nest, right? A bigger. So it so what happened is whenever it hatched, it trying to kill the other egg so that the mother feeds the cuckoo birds, right? And that's
Interesting.
I've seen
Yeah.
on this is what I've seen on like National
That's
Geographic, whatever. And
that's
so and
truly the
so
selfish gene.
and so the thing is that these the cuckoo birds, right? They are imposter. They impress on the mother to feed and to think that hey, that baby is hers.
Right.
But when the mother goes away, and the thing is the cuckoo bird is bigger, right? A bigger
Wait,
egg.
but it's their mom, right? I mean,
No, the, the
oh,
the mom the mom, right, finds a nest with eggs in it, go lays her egg into that nest. And then because the cuckoo bird they are bigger, so they usually gonna hatch first. They hatch first, right? And then when the mother of the nest that it was in, right, goes away to find food, it will push the eggs off of the nest. The only
how'd the cuckoo bird get into the other bird's nest?
When the mother goes away to find food, there's a bunch of nest. Let's say there's 4 eggs, right? There's 4 eggs in the nest, and the cuckoo bird mother is gonna watch from a near branch, right? When they see the mother of the nest flies away, the mother of the cuckoo birds go into the nest, lay an egg, the 5th egg there, and,
Why?
and because that's that's their culture.
That's cuckoo, man. Like, what
It
the
is
hell?
cuckoo. But
Yeah, like,
then, but then
are
the
you
cuckoo,
kidding me?
the 5th eggs, right? They're bigger than the other eggs, and they're gonna hatch first. And even before they can open their eyes, they will actually push the other eggs down off of the nest off to the ground and like break them. So the only birds left is the cuckoo birds, and
The
basically
fuck?
it gets all of the food from the mother, right? And the mother thinks that this bird is
That's
hers.
wild.
But I'm just saying is that
But does the other mother then come back? Does the cuckoo
no, the
mother come
cuckoo bird.
back?
That's what they do. They lay
No,
eggs and it goes away.
wait. Oh, so the cuckoo mother never comes back for the cuckoo
No,
bird.
no.
So the cuckoo bird does get raised by somebody else?
Yep.
So what in the hell? I mean, man, that's talk about wild evolutionary genes. Like
But I'm just saying is there are
so
there are
they never raise their
possibility.
wow.
There are possibility where you are impressing on something and you think that hey, I'm supposed to be like this, I'm supposed to be like that. And so, like I say,
All right.
in a beaver scenario, if you can trick it, right? It doesn't know. It doesn't know that that's not him. That he's not supposed to be a lion. He doesn't know. He will try to be a lion. Inhuman because of the wicked environment that we're in, the dynamics environment we're in. There are certain things we don't know. We think we are part of this. We think we are a leader. We think we are Elon Musk. We think we are this. But we don't see the distinction, right? It's harder for us to say, "Hey, I am not this person," because
I agree. I mean,
we as a human species,
yeah.
we have the ability to be a bunch of different characters. We can be a kind person, we can be a nasty person, we can be a happy person, we can be a angry person, we can be an evil person, we can be a silly person, we can be all sorts of stuff. For me and you, is you and I are, sometimes we are nice to people. Sometimes we are nasty. Like, what the hell is going on with you,
Right.
right? But that's the thing is we have that because our genes, the range that we have the ability to do that, and because we are almost able to do this, that, and other, it makes us think that we can do that. It makes us think we can be like Elon. Make us think we can be like Jeff Bezos or whatever. But the
I'm,
thing is,
hang
certain
on, I'm struggling. I'm really struggling here to like because you're saying the same stuff that I agree with. Like what do you not agree about that? Because you're saying the same stuff. Like you're saying that like
I'm just saying is biology enables in the limited expressions of the gene. It doesn't enables you universally.
well, I mean,
To
humans can be It's like an apple. Remember from like the botany of desire, like like
But it's
every
still
apple is unique. I mean,
it's
yeah, it can
unique,
only
but
do what it can only do what an apple does. I'm not saying that it
yeah,
can be
exactly.
necessarily. I
It
didn't
is
say this was
enable. It is
I
enable in its limited
I didn't say
ability.
I wait, but I think you're maybe misconstruing when I said biology enables, or when like Sapien says biology enables. I didn't say biology enables everything. It just culture restricts so much. Like
But I'm saying is culture and biology are the same thing.
no, no, not at all. No, you think like Salesforce? You think the Catholic Church is the same thing as biology?
Yes. Because why do you think the Catholic Church has rules and doctrines for this kind of thing? Because without their particular culture, they cannot maintain the desire they want. How do you make people submit to you
It's
if
not a
there is?
submission. It's not a submission. That's it's a it's they're joining forces like
to do
willingly
what? To do what?
to do whatever the mission is like of the culture.
Exactly. Just like the Nazi. What's wrong with the Nazi?
I mean, I'm not saying that
It's a
there's
culture.
I didn't say the culture is always good. I just said that
No. I'm just
culture.
no. I'm not saying anything other than whoever is in charge of it has a certain desire because of his or her expression of his or her gene. His or her gene requires these
Well, wait.
activities.
There's nobody in charge of the Catholic Church anymore. Like, I mean, like you can
You
say the
think?
Pope is, but there's not. Like, and there's nobody that's in charge of the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is a living, breathing entity that exists without
No,
the
it doesn't.
Vatican, or that
No.
exists with the Vatican. Yeah, it does. Like, I mean, there's no way that my grandmother, like, or my mother, or any of my family members, or any of the people that I go to church with, like, it exists because the small community here. Like, if you take away that small community here, then yeah, then it goes away. But the larger, like, nobody gives a shit what goes on in the Vatican, like nobody cares. Nobody cares what goes on at Salesforce HQ, that are in their Dublin office, like, I mean, they don't. Like, it's a team of teams, but it's all with shared values. Like, but it's not the same. Like, there's no one person running the show. Mark Benioff doesn't run the Salesforce culture anymore. He doesn't. Like, and I mean, I don't care what.
Someone else does.
No, they don't. I mean, the people run the culture, and the people, the team of teams of people run that culture, and those people can leave if they want to.
Whoever owns a share runs a culture.
No, you can design a culture. There is a certain level in which you can design a culture.
I mean, there's a group of people.
Right, there's a group of people that can have control in the early stages, but once an idea takes hold, then that idea is no longer theirs. It's humanity's, and that idea can go wherever they want it to go. Like, they can't control where an idea goes. Like
Yes, you can.
no,
I mean,
for
you
for
think
a certain
about
period of time, it's like
you
setting a
think
balloon off.
about all of the histories, the Aztec, the Mayans, right? I mean, they exist longer than most Europeans here, right? But there isn't any. Well, most of them are lost because they were destroyed. The
I didn't
evidence
say you
that
couldn't destroy a culture. I
no,
said
I'm just saying is you saying because somebody wants it. I mean, you're talking about, let's say, back in the ancient days where there's no currency. How do people do commerce? They trade coffee for salt.
yeah,
They
they
trade
traded something of value for value.
potato. They
Right.
trade beans for potato. Then somebody say, hey, let's use gold. I trade you beans for gold, and you take gold and you trade for salt, and vice versa, and potato, whatever. And then once you do that, then people say, well, instead of using gold, I'll give you this piece of paper. Well, who decides to use that piece of paper? The worthless piece of paper. And say you must use.
It's a collective though. Like, I mean,
No,
that's
it's
fine.
not collective.
Wait, well, no,
It's not collective. It
U.S. government can say that this piece of paper no longer
no.
holds any value anymore, but that doesn't mean that the citizens of the the United States doesn't even exist. We're going down a rabbit hole. Like, I mean,
back in ancient day, they took away all the gold and traded you a piece of paper because the emperor of some country says so. The reason why did you know that all international trade has to be bought with the American dollar? You cannot buy oil with the Japanese yen. You cannot buy oil with the Chinese yuan. You cannot buy anything international without a dollar. And why is that? Because we, as the United States, dictate that everything must be purchased using the dollar. Why can we say that? Because we are the number one military power in the world. And we can say that because,
For now, I mean, like that.
But yeah, for now. But the thing is, we decided that, and Nixon took the dollar off of the gold standard because we are the number one military power in the world. You don't have to talking about like the other aspect, like how many people go to university, how many will be smarter. As long as they have the military power with the ability to enforce it, you can decide and dictate. So when Nixon comes in, right, Nixon and his cabinet, right, a group of 20, 30 people decides that, hey, I want to take the US dollar off the gold.
But they aren't the United States culture. Like, I mean, like that's.
But they dictate that
he got voted out of office. Like, I mean,
but it sticks. It stays there because right now we are not. We can print any kind of any amount of US dollar we want.
Okay, I mean, I think we're going down a rabbit hole of like, yes, we live in a culture within 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 a culture. I mean, there's.
But all boils down to is it dictated by that person or by somebody who has the power and the influence.
To begin with, sure. I can accept that.
Not to begin with.
I don't think that anybody owns the
all
United States.
In perpetuity.
No one owns the United States. Like, no one in the direction of this culture. Like, no one does. Like, that's the beauty of it. Like,
so the thing is, why can't you run for president?
I can't. I can. What do you mean?
Okay, what's the chance of you becoming president?
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. What's the chance of anyone becoming president? I mean, I don't know.
It's a good chance if you get groomed into becoming some. You
it's
have
a better chance, but like, I mean,
you have a good chance if either the Democratic Party or Republican Party nominates you.
What about before all that existed? Like, Thomas Jefferson or whatever.
Eventually, what happened is because of the people's agenda is their expression of who they are.
The Democrats and the Republicans are their own cultures.
Dictate what this group does. Like the Democrats and the Republicans have different ideals because of whoever is in charge. Decides, hey, we are Republican. We want to be more conservative. We want to make money. The more logical. Republicans more logical in a way. Quote unquote.
But the Democrat hang on, we're going down a rabbit hole. I'm just saying,
if somebody is dictating what kind of activities and what kind of culture is acceptable inside of that group.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is culture forbids it, and like, but I can still think whatever I want to think. I can still do whatever I want to do, and I can still like. I mean, my point is like, I don't have to listen to the United States government, and I don't have to listen to the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I don't have to listen to the International World Monetary Fund. I don't have to listen to I don't know, whatever, you name it, like the Catholic Church. I don't have to listen to anybody. Like I could do whatever the fuck I want to do because I'm a human, and as long as I'm biologically able to do something, I will do it. Like, if I want to, damn it. Like, like, and that's the whole point is like
so what happened if you want to marry 10 wives?
Then I'll do it. I'll turn to the Mormon religion and like we'll start the Mormonisms, like, and then you can go have, as many wives as you want, and then go get a religious exemption, which what the fuck does that mean? And then, have 10 wives. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I'm saying, like if that's important to you and you have a collective group of other people that care about that, like,
but that's what I'm saying is, that's what I'm saying is, you as a person decides what you want. That's biology. And you as a person goes and find. Right, that's what I'm saying is my point is that you have to go find other people that's willing to accept you I.e., you want to your
no,
genes wants to be.
I disagree. I think you do what you do, and then other people find you.
No,
Because
because the thing is, I just asked you what happened if you were married 10 wives, and you say I'm going to go find this woman. Oh,
well,
become
you only start with one that wants to have two,
a,
and then you start with two that wants to have three. Then you start with three that wants to have four, and like
No, I'm saying cultures are not created. Cultures are formed based on identification. I identify with this person. Hey, the Mormons, they can have 10 wives, have more wives. I identify with them. Therefore, I'm going to have this collective. I'm going to be attracted to them. They're attracted to me because we share the common values. My point is that we, as a biological entity, is an expression of culture, and the culture, if it aligns, it meshes, and if it doesn't align, it repels, right? And so let's say that's why I asked you. Let's say you want to have 10 wives. You're going to align with the Mormons because they have common value.
well,
They didn't
it's actually
create it.
it's actually funny you're even talking about wives because like how many people in this world have slept with 10 women? You know,
No,
probably a
I'm
lot.
talking about legally
Well,
marrying 10 wives.
but what is legal marriage like?
But I'm saying is like, so go back to what I'm saying is, how many people have slept with more than one woman, right? It's, right,
I would
and
assume a
that's
lot
the
of
gene. That's the
right,
gene that you are given, right?
right.
You didn't decide that. You say, "Well, I have this urge to
This is
do,"
what I'm
and,
talking about is
and you
biology
be.
will let you sleep with more than one woman like but culture says you need to be married and you need to have this and and you can only have one wife, like I
But
mean
that's what I'm saying is the culture, right, is a what I call a identifications of the persons or group of persons that forms a group in the first place. So
yeah,
you and
I
I,
like
right?
marriage. I mean I
No,
like
no,
being married to my wife
you and I for the first two in Clubberny. That means that anyone who comes into Clubberny will have to adopt our culture. Otherwise, we won't say, "Hey, you don't align with that.
right,
There's no
yeah,
need for us to come in."
you're
But
not invited.
eventually, there's going to be 98 of people. The two of us, so we as a 2% become the dictator of the culture because we
uh
identify ourselves as these
Eventually that breaks
values.
free though. Eventually it breaks out of that though. Like eventually there's a
How
breaking
how
point.
can how can it
I don't
no
know when the tipping point is,
no
but eventually that
how can you do, because the thing is, when you cannot break out of it, right? Because unless somebody comes in and truly is believing in all the things we say and we accept them in, and once they come in and whatever reason gain power, right, and becomes this grand masses of the seventh generation committee, and then certainly change of heart. But the thing is, the people that we bring in, 90% of them going to have the same core values that we have. If not, there's no,
what
they
about the
will not
people that
make it
what
to the
about the
tribe in the first place.
Australian group or the UK group or the Japanese group or whatever where I don't even speak their language, Like I mean I can't control like what they
No,
do.
I'm not going to charter somebody who doesn't take in the thing. What is Clubberny's missions and core values, right? Our mission is to discover
Right.
ourselves and live those core values.
But people can do that
All
in any
core
way they want
values is a
to.
balance, right? But the thing
Right.
is, balance is balance. There's no like, balance to me is to work, 80 hours a
Well,
week,
I
right?
mean, I mean, I guess it could be as long as they're happy and they're
No,
fulfilled, and
yeah.
I mean,
You walk in a fine line here. I mean, there are certain core values that you either, yeah, yes, I can see, yeah, that in me, or you don't, right? It's not like,
well,
hey,
that's what I said at the end of this whole thing. I said it's a triple-edged sword. And eventually, like you start your own culture, if you want to call it that, because you want to rebel against other establishment cultures, and it's not fitting. There's not alignment with what you want to do. Eventually, if what you built is attractive to other people, then you're gonna have those situations. Like if you're a good culture, I had this quote at the bottom of this whole thing that was like, there's a quote that said the measure of a leader should be how many leaders do they produce, right? Well, maybe the culture should be measured by how many unique cultures it's helped to produce. Because like to your point, there's always going to be people that are going to say, well, I want to do this is what I think of balance. Well, that's fine. That's not what we think of balance. So if that's what
then
you think of
you
it,
don't
then go
belong in this
start.
group. You don't
Then
belong in
go
this group.
do where you
No,
want to
then
go
it won't
to.
be Clubberny. It's something else.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like it'll be but that's
But
okay.
that's what
That's
I'm
actually a
saying.
good
That's what I'm
thing. That's a
saying.
good
I'm
thing in my
saying is
opinion.
anyone who is gathered together we'll have some commonalities. And the longer we have, the more commonality we have, the closer we understand each other, the more the longer our journey will be together.
Right.
If you have less, you're gonna diverge sooner. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
I mean, look at like
So that means that
the Protestant religion is literally
the
protesting.
most tight knit group will have the most common.
I agree, but like I guess
and that common is the culture.
I agree. This is what I said from the very beginning. Like, but in that culture, you forbid a lot of other things.
Because that's biology.
I do not connect those dots together.
You don't forbid because you know, just like for me, it's like you and I wants to go and talking about equality, right? Let's talk about equality. We don't understand equality because we say equality isn't good because equality suppresses who you are,
and I didn't say it's not good. I said it doesn't. It's not something that
well, not good in my perspective.
Sure, to us,
because in my perspective is like you want to be different, but not equal. Equal means the same.
Right.
Okay.
No, yeah.
You can talk about in the opposing force opposite. Like, hey, two forces are almost the same, but not the same, right? When we're talking about equality, we're talking about the same. Same means it's the same. We don't want same. We want differences, right? In terms of equality. In that sense, when we talk about equality for us, right? There's no way for you to convince me that equality is acceptable in my group because I just don't believe in it. So for you to come in and talk equality, I said, well, I don't understand and I don't believe. Then there's no need for me to meet with that person every day or whatever right. To talk about things that it's beyond my head or beyond my.
You just don't want to. It's okay to say I just don't care. like
no.
I mean,
my point is once you don't care, then
right.
the
then
group
you just turn
the
it
group
out.
diverge. The group diverge. That person goes and create his own group. I create my own group. Therefore, this group and this culture, it dictates by who is left behind, who is aligning with other person's core values. That's why I'm saying core values, right? It is determining by your expression. And your expression dictates your activity. And activity identifies you as a culture.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, like these are abstract concepts that need to be defined through actions, and those actions then are how we define what equality means or does not mean to our culture, right? But at the same time, like for culture to work,
because you can't define culture. You can't pick,
right. This is what I'm trying to say.
A culture. You can't say, hey, I think equality is good. Let's pick it into. It doesn't work with me. I mean, if you bring in like equality, something that I don't understand, I don't believe it.
Right.
And then for me, is this group, I won't be in it for long because it doesn't identify me, right? So you don't actually create mean like, hey, you can choose with your own free will. I can't because I'm a beaver, right? I can't because I have this tendency to do this or do that, right? Therefore, anything I picked isn't picked by me. It's just picked by my biology.
I think I maybe understand what you're saying. You're saying your biology naturally gravitates you toward a culture, therefore you don't really pick that culture. Like it was already predetermined for you to be in that culture because your biology says that's what it is, right? But what if you
you cannot
hang on.
You cannot ask a lion to be in the river.
Hang on a second. Hang on. Okay, so are you okay? I'm gonna say we're gonna leave it there because I'm trying to I think I tracked where your brain is going. I'm not saying that I don't agree or do agree. I'm saying that I don't know that I know what I think at all about that. I'm trying to piece that one together in my head for a second in terms of where I would even.
I mean, the thing is, what I'm saying is, it basically boils down to what we say in the beginning, in many previous episodes.
But
you are who you are, because of your genes. You cannot
Yeah,
escape it.
yeah, but
You can't control that genes.
here's what I'll give you a question to stew on before as we call it quits for the night. What you just described would make sense if you only belong to one culture. You don't belong to one culture. You belong to cultures within cultures within cultures within cultures within cultures. So sometimes you don't even know that you're in a culture and you're in the culture, right? So we're you can't say that your biology will only ever take you to cultures that you agree to. I disagree with that because I don't know that you even know how many cultures you're involved in. That's how complex humanity is with cultures.
Right. So that's what I mean. I agree with that aspect. That's why we have to distill it to a single, simple concept first before we can take it to the next level. We cannot understand the complexity,
I agree with that.
dynamics of human
Right.
nature. It is so complex. It is like 1,000-fold, right? So we can't understand the second step unless we understand the first step. The first
I,
step is saying
I
if you
agree
have
with that.
one thing, one gene only, you have like millions of genes. But
Yeah,
if
but
I
even
say if you have one gene only, you cannot be something else your gene doesn't dictate you to be.
even if you bought Clubany Island on that isn't owned by any nation state and that has no technology and has no other I mean
So
I
if
don't
you
know that you could ever
if you,
escape other cultures.
you can't, because the thing is because if you establish an island, right, it has to be under some sovereignty. If not, who's going to offend you?
Right, this is what I'm saying is like it's always like, I get what you're trying to say. Like your maybe is the culture that you decide to dedicate
So to me,
a certain level of your time
my point is
needs to be actively
it's
chosen.
about culture selections. It's not culture creations.
But sometimes you don't get to choose your cultures. You don't actually not oftentimes you don't get to choose your cultures. But
There
like
are some circumstances where you cannot choose a culture,
right, you
but
can't
that's
choose to
temporary.
be
No, no,
Vietnamese
no,
or Asian or
no.
not.
So the thing is, you cannot choose your culture because of who you are. Biology dictates that. Okay, there are certain culture that is just because you are a human, you have to belong to a human culture. You are
Right.
Vietnamese descent, you have to
Well,
belong to the Vietnamese descent.
what's
You are
Vietnamese? I mean,
Vietnamese descent in America, then you have to live in. So there's a culture within a culture within a culture. So this culture you cannot change, right? And then there are certain things like it's not in that zone of specifically those culture, but in the zone of, oh, I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert culture, okay? Or
right.
I'm
How,
a a sports tennis
right.
loving
How
kind of
many cultures do you think you belong to?
you belong to hundreds of culture. I mean,
I mean, maybe thousands. I mean,
thousands, and that's the reason. That's what I'm saying is
maybe
I don't
millions. I don't
disagree.
know.
I don't disagree with that, and that's why our world is so complex and so dynamic that if I were to start with that, we get lost from the beginning. So that's why we say the beaver must dam. I'm not telling you to be a beaver. I mean, we have 1,000 things more genes than a beaver, but we need to understand if we have only one gene like a beaver to kind of get a footing first, and then you build on that footing, on that base foundation, on the next step. Because without it, we wouldn't understand the second one, and third one, and fourth one. How will you go to a
Yeah,
thousandth one?
ironically though, like you only know what you don't like because you are involved in other cultures. Like it's not like me being a Salesforce employee, like only allows me to understand what I don't like about that and what I would want, what I do like about myself and understand myself a little bit better and to guide me toward that path. Like it's not um other cultures aren't a bad thing, obviously. Like I think it's, if anything, they could be seen as a guide to helping you to find your own way to what you want to really do. You know, I think there's just, I think my final thought on this is if you're gonna dedicate yourself to there's gonna be at least one dominant culture in your life, like that you choose, like
You don't
in the
choose.
culture that
You don't choose.
no,
You must.
yes you do.
You must
No, yeah, you choose what you choose what
identify, right?
right.
You must
Right, that's choice,
identify.
yeah.
Well, you don't have a choice. It's like if I'm Asian, I cannot choose to be white. I cannot.
But those aren't like what is white culture? I mean, I don't know what is
White
Asian
culture is
culture?
what
I mean,
people
there's
do. They think different.
what does white people do? I'm a white person. I don't know what white people do.
I mean, I mean, they're different. They're
I
not the same.
I know. I'm saying like there's a million different. Hell, is it a Midwestern white person? Is it a Northeastern white
Mm-hmm.
person? Is it a
They're
Canadian
different.
white person? Is it a Chilean white person?
Yeah, they
Is
are
it a
different.
Spanish white person? Is it a is it a a Norwegian white person? Is it a person that lives in
What I'm just saying is you cannot choose to be black, white, Asians, Indian, Mexican, whatever.
but I
You
don't
are
even know that's a
born.
culture. Like that, I mean,
Yes, you
a,
are.
a nation state is a culture because you're not just Asian. You're Vietnamese. Like
Yes, we established it before. We
Thai.
established before.
You're not
We live
Korean.
in the reality that we have thousands of culture that we belong to.
Right,
So
but if I said you're an Asian, so you should identify with Koreans, you would go, well,
yes,
I don't identify with Koreans. Do
yes,
you
I
identify with Koreans?
identify with Koreans in some aspects, but not all aspects.
Well, I identify with you in some aspects, but not
You
all
you
aspects.
yes, you identify with me as a human being. You and I have
Well,
shared genes.
and
You
we're
and I have
tiny.
shared genes.
We're small people.
No, I think our identifications is um the core values of
Of course.
learning
I mean,
of I
it's
mean these to me is priority in my mind. I don't really
of course.
care if
I don't
you're
care what you are.
white,
That's my point.
black, or Hispanic or whatever,
I
because
agree.
my so if you take all the top priorities away, then yes, you know the Asian would go come into considering the next one and the next one and the next one. But because we have shared common values on the top of it, that it basically masks everything else that we
Yeah,
have quote unquote that differences.
it's irrelevant. All the other cultures that we don't align on, like it's
But
irrelevant
that's what
because
I'm saying is you and I have a certain genes that wants to learn, that wants to read, that wants to explore the self explore our core values,
yeah, no,
explore who you are. That's the common gene that you and I have,
but
right?
there's no biology that's telling me
Yes,
that
they're
I
all
have to do that.
biology.
There's not that's not biology. That is your that is I don't even
Everything
know
is
what to call it.
biology.
I don't even know
Everything
what
is
to call
biology because if you are a mushroom, I
purpose is not
guarantee you,
biology.
you have a different culture.
Yeah, but are you saying purpose is biology?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna pause it there because that's an interesting thought, and we'll come. We can come back to this because I got to go to bed because it's 10:30. And I gotta get up in the morning to go. I gotta write and get to work and get a workout in early in the morning. So
I mean, like I say, this is one of the top five books. I mean, regardless of what
yeah,
you say,
it
this
gets
book
you thinking.
lays a foundation for a lot of the concept and ideas that we talk about.
Yeah, definitely gets you thinking, right? Like that's the fun part about it. That is the fun is it puts some ideas in your head and it makes you think
I
through it
mean,
and it asks a lot of
fun for
questions.
me and you. I mean, to some
Right,
people, they gonna sleep like 5 minutes into
right,
it.
right. They'll
So
be
to
like, "What the?"
me,
Yeah.
is that their choice or is that because of biology? Did they say, "Hey, oh, I decided I'm gonna go sleep"? They
You
did
know what's funny
not.
is like you could say that, but then like you have like the Joe Rogan experience, where all they do is just bring on guests that like they want to talk about topics and just go deeper into random stuff in life, and ask a lot of questions because it's intriguing to them, and people go, "Oh, that's really interesting," like
No,
so.
no, only the people who align with it say it's interesting
Oh, I know, but I'm saying there's plenty of
because
people
of
out
their
there that do
biology
align with
has
it.
common alignment. Like you and
Right,
me have common alignment. That's why you and I talk for an hour and a half.
right. No,
right?
I guess my point, I was saying you said somebody might fall asleep after like 5 minutes. Yeah, somebody might, but there's somebody that might
Yeah, I
that's
could have
reason
fought.
stay
I mean,
an hour.
I know Joe Rogan, right? But I don't
Right.
listen to his podcast. I just
I
don't.
don't either. Yeah, and yeah,
Why? It's interesting, quote unquote. What interesting to a
yeah,
lot of people, but not to
I
me.
agree.
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying. Is my
I agree. Yeah.
gene. It's not like I decide, hey, I don't. I like Joe Rogan as a guy, as a person. I like Joe Rogan. I just don't listen to his podcast.
Yeah, I tend to agree as well. Actually, I
It
think
come
you
across
asked
my
a lot of
feed
good
all the
questions.
time. I just
Yeah,
don't. I just don't listen to him. You know. And it's
I'm
my
with you.
body. It's not. I didn't choose it. I didn't choose to say, hey, I don't like this guy. I didn't choose it.
I mean, I think there's more to unpack there. But I
All
gotta put
right,
a plug in
man.
it. All right. Well, that was fun as always. And we'll see you all tomorrow night.
All right, good night. Bye.